It is an absolute pleasure to welcome author Lisa Jacovsky to our new series of author interviews. Welcome, Lisa, who's based in New Jersey, USA. Thank you so much for joining us and taking the time to share your book with teachers here in the UK. Your book is called Let's Talk, A Story of Autism and Friendship. But before we get stuck in, Lisa, we'd love to hear more about you. How did you come to write this special book?
I've always loved writing, and the field that I work in is applied behavior analysis. And I got my inspiration from working in my field. I work with little ones with autism or just cognitive developmental disabilities. And I saw a recurring theme. There was, a lot of issues with the little ones engaging with other children that might be neurotypical. And I thought, I want to get back into writing, and why not use this platform to do something good and show people what I see autism to be as something beautiful and just a different way to learn. So that's kind of how the inspiration for it came from. And you can see in the book too some different techniques that we would use in the fields. You'll see that later on when I do the read out aloud too.
So, give us a brief synopsis. What exactly is the book about?
Absolutely. So it's about two little girls that become friends at the pool. The main character is neurotypical. She has no cognitive issues, and she meets a new friend who happens to have autism, but she doesn't know that yet. So she goes home and she talks to her mom and finds out about autism, and she's determined to become friends with this little girl. And then she finds out this little girl cannot talk. So she becomes determined to get past this and find a way. And she learns how to communicate with her new friend. And they end up spending the whole summer together and becoming best friends.
And what would you say you'd love children to walk away with having read your book? What would you want them to enjoy the most?
I want them to enjoy the friendship the most. I want little ones to walk away and say, hey, if they can do it, I can do it. And be inspired to befriend anybody and not let any kind of a barrier stop them. And little ones to become just determined, no matter what, to always look beyond it and be friends, no matter what's going on with the other little one.
Autism as a special need is addressed throughout the text. And that will be, quite enlightening for children who are themselves autistic to see themselves reflected in a book, but also in terms of educating other children about the issues around having autism. So that is a wonderful addition to any classroom. Thank you very much for that. Can you just be specific about the kind of age group you would see accessing your text the most?
Definitely 7 years old to about 11, 12-year-olds. My characters are 7-year-olds, and I did that specifically so that elementary age can see that no matter what, you can be friends. And those little ones with autism can see that their autism is not something to hold them back. They can be friends with anybody and they can do anything they want. So I really want to connect with that younger age group, about elementary age to just starting junior high school, so that they can, kind of build those relationships then, and we can make a change in this world as these little ones get older.
At this point, I think it's important to hand over to you, Lisa, while you do your read aloud and share with us your book.
Absolutely. Here's my book. You can see the cover. So I'm going to read this so you guys can get a little bit of an idea, and you can see the girls meeting. One day, I saw a new girl at the pool. She was standing by herself on the steps. She was acting a little silly, flapping her hands with a big smile. She seemed nice, so I decided to go say hi to her anyways. I walked over to her and said, "Hi, my name is Harper. What's your name?" She smiled at me, but she didn't respond. I decided to ask her if she wanted to play with my tube, and so held it out to her. Again, she smiled at me and made some noises. She continued to flap her hands, smiling, and reached out for the tube, still making noises. I realized she wanted to play with my tube. I said, "Great, you can play with the tube and I'll swim with you." We both got into the pool and she took my tube. I swam around her and we laughed and played. We had the best time. We played for what felt like hours. She did not talk, but she made noises when I would talk to her. Then my mommy came and said it was time to go home. I asked my new friend for my tube, but she just smiled at me. Her mommy came over and said, Emma, please give your friend back her tube. It took her mommy, Miss Therese, a few tries to convince her, but she finally gave the tube back to me. I said, thank you, Emma. I hope I see you tomorrow. Emma smiled at me and flapped her hands. Miss Therese smiled at me too and said, yes, we will be here tomorrow. I went home with my mommy.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for sharing your wonderful book with teachers. You know, it's always a pleasure to hear the author's voice behind children's books. And finally, where would teachers be able to access your book here in the UK?
So it's sold on Amazon, on the UK website. I've had a number of people in the UK actually access it and write reviews, which has been amazing. It's also available on my website, www.ljayauthor.com. You can find all of my social media on there too to follow me and to follow their journey, because there are going to be more books. And you can also find it on barnesandnoble.com and walmart.com. So you can also get it in any of the bookstores and just ask them to ship it to the store, and you can pick it up there as well.
Fantastic. And what I must say about your book is that even though the subject matter that's being handled is handled so sensitively, that would definitely, you know, encourage a lot of Key Stage 2 children to have discussions around, you know, how is it that, how the child is behaving, why is it so unique, what's the reasons behind it, and how to respond to that using the characters as examples. But it's also accessible to Key Stage 1. Just looking at the language and the style of it, I would say that younger year groups could also easily read this story or have it read aloud to them. So thank you very much for that book share. That's been wonderful. We certainly look forward to hearing more about your books as your writing journey continues. We will place links to Let's Talk, a story of autism and friendship, here in the video. And once again, thank you for joining ReadMaster for UK Teachers, home of the author's voice. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you so much.